So it's not about picking this particular diet or eating this particular food or abstaining from this particular food, or, it's really not about that. And I can say that with absolute certainty because I did all of that. I tried all of that for like 30 years.
Mhm.
And none of that works. It's all about the vibration.
I love this conversation with Ramona Galey, especially since she is one of the 25 women I interviewed for my book, Delicious Alignment: How 25 Women Learn to Love and Transform Their Bodies Using Abraham Hicks and the Law of Attraction. It's been 2 years since I interviewed her, so I was excited to catch up. There's really a lot of deliciousness in this interview, I can tell you that, including how Ramona released 50 pounds using the law of attraction. We also discussed how alignment is the key, listening to our inner guidance and having fun. We also talk about how Ramona began receiving Oprah. And no, I'm not talking about Oprah Winfrey. It's Oprah without the H. And Ramona doesn't actually like the word channeling. She likes the word receiving. It's similar to the way Abraham speaks through Esther Hicks. Ramona describes it as translating infinite intelligence to the benefit of her clients, especially in the areas of prosperity, joyful living, and fulfilling one's purpose. Ramona is committed to helping others in remembering how powerful and beautiful they are, which is so in alignment with what we do here at Delicious Alignment, and in gaining the needed skills to live the life of their dreams. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the interview.
Hello, Ramona.
Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It's so exciting to talk to you today because a lot of people who've read my book know your story from 2 years ago, and I can't believe it's 2 years already, but
I know,
actually it
right?
feels like a lifetime. It feels so much has happened since then, for me anyway, and I think for you too, like really good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited about catching up with you. I did kind of skim through your story, so everyone knows. I interviewed Ramona for my book. She's one of the 25 stories in there, and she's quite a popular story in there. So this is like a catch up. We're going to catch up with Ramona.
Well, I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to see you and catch up with you too. So it's been a whirlwind 2 years since that interview, and
Yeah,
just so much has happened. So it's going to be fun to talk about it.
great. Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we start with, I mean, not everyone who is going to hear this podcast is going to be familiar with your story. Um, so I would like to sort of just chat about it, and you let me know what you would like people to know. As you know, this is about self-love, body love, food freedom, and your journey. I like to interview people who have been through the journey, and of course we're still always on the journey, and but have come out the other side like with a real wonderful sense of self-love and body love. Some people have released pounds, some people haven't. They just got more comfortable in the skin they're in. But I know that you in fact have released pounds, and when I read, I think when I interviewed you, I don't know, it was first it was 30, and then when I interviewed you, you said, well, it's 50 now. Something like that. So, and yeah, while that's not what it's all about, it is exciting to a lot of us. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about, or however much you want to say about where you were, sort of like the before and after story. And don't worry about repeating what's in the book, because this is 2 years later and you have a new perspective. And
Oh, good. I'm relieved because I don't remember the story totally, to tell you the
right,
truth.
right. But it doesn't
But
matter.
yeah, I think at the time, I mean, I really was focused on losing weight, and I had seen that as kind of like the last frontier of my law of attraction. How little did I know, but at the time, I think I was seeing it as kind of the last frontier of my law of attraction studies and applications and everything. And so, focusing on after the story, I guess, I lost that weight, and then you published that book. And first of all, being interviewed was just really exciting for me. And it was a lot of fun. And then reading my story later, which of course it took a couple of months to publish and everything, and just to read it later was really just eye-opening. And reading everybody else's stories in that book. I mean, I love your book, and every once in a while I'll pick it up and just pick somebody at random and read their story again. It is so inspiring to experience through each person's, personal words, and the way you put it all together in such a really cool way, that to be able to see the similarities between us and the differences between us, and how much the understanding of law of attraction, just basic law of attraction, of feeling it before you actually do it, that basic concept just played such a huge role. And moving forward from that, and when I knew that we were going to be talking, I just kind of was thinking about the last couple of years since then. And I mean, what I thought of as the last frontier turned out to be the starting gun of just a whole new phase of my life. And I've been thinking so much recently about fears and desires, and how I used to think, I mean, of course, I've been very familiar with the two ends of the stick idea that Abraham talks about so much, focusing on what you want instead of what you don't want. And whether it's what words you're using or what feeling you're having about it. And so I utilized that concept in so many areas of my life very successfully. And I used it to lose weight and to get back, the body that I'd been, wishing for and everything. And of course, what happened after that was I was like, wow, so I've got all these feelings and I've got all these like desires and fears and desires and fears. And it's so over the course of that period of time, it's just been really come clear to me. I'll give you an example. So I didn't realize until after the last time you and I spoke that I was really operating under a belief system that I couldn't really attract the woman of my dreams until I lost that weight. I mean, I kind of knew that it was, swirling in there, but of course I've learned not to really focus on anything like that, any self-limiting belief. I just keep looking at what I want, what I want. But it really kind of came to a head for me. And
wait a minute. So you're saying that's also in the gay world and as well?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Heterosexual that like, I can't attract the man of my dreams, so it's the same thing.
Well,
sometimes,
yeah. I mean, I'll say it was for me, certainly. And my weight had been such a big issue. I don't think you could be a woman in our culture. I think it's very rare to be a woman in our culture who's not affected by the bombardment, the constant bombardment message that you're not okay unless your body is this or this or this. And of course, the this and this and this are all conflicting. You can't possibly be all the things that you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too blonde, you're too redheaded, whatever it is, you're too old, too young. And of course, in the gay world, you're too butch, or you're too femme, or you're too political, or you're too, whatever. And so, I mean, the list is, infinite. So dealing with all of that has really been probably, the next frontier. In fact, it came to such a head that I actually stopped dating pretty soon after that, because, as most law of attraction practitioners, we look at what we're manifesting. We either look at what we're feeling or what's coming into our lives as kind of indicators of where our vibration is. And I was attracting fear-based people. And so I wasn't aware of having any feeling. I was already receiving Oprah by then. And I had been, healed of a lot of things just by receiving Oprah.
We just take it, just help everyone out a little bit can you explain what you mean by receiving Oprah, just so we can.
Okay, so I'll try. if I come up with a good explanation this time, I'll be really surprised. But so the best thing I could say is, if you're familiar at all with Abraham Hicks, it's like Esther receives Abraham, I receive Oprah. And some people call it channeling, I call it receiving, Esther calls it teaching. I really call it almost like a meditation, like a shared meditation almost. So I like working one-on-one, even in a group setting, but still just one-on-one, as opposed to Abraham, who likes teaching, lots of people and answering lots of questions all at the same time, and in large group settings and whatnot. I really enjoy the one-on-one, really getting down to, well, like, what's personal for my client, like what is the exact vibration, what is the exact belief, what is the exact resistance, what is it, and then feeling into it, letting that go, feeling how to refocus. So that's what I do with Oprah. I go into a meditative state, and then I read people's vibrations and thoughts and feelings and beliefs, and things come out, and I don't have anything to do with it. I'm kind of off to the side, and source helps people. And it's so much easier to talk to a person than it is to try to talk to source, especially when you're first getting the hang of it. And so people get a lot of relief and soothing and benefit from it. And so that's what I mean when I don't know if that was a good explanation or not.
It's perfect. And I just have to interject that I really feel fortunate that I'm in a group where once in a while people who, your clients, they feel generous and they share some of their sessions with us. So it's very
really? Okay.
Oh, I didn't know if you knew
that's
that.
Interesting.
I didn't know if you knew that. Yes. So, well, it's their session. I guess they can do that, and then they're
absolutely,
sharing,
yeah.
and they're sharing with us because they're so excited about the session, and the sessions are amazing. And I just have gotten so much out of listening to them. So I just want to say that
cool.
They are amazing sessions with
well, I sure enjoy them. Of course, that's all that matters.
And I could just spend an hour just asking you questions about that, but maybe we will do that.
We can do that. I love talking about it. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
But let's go back then. So then.
Yeah. So I was attracting a lot of fear. Fear being manifested in the women that I was, feeling, some attraction to, and they were attracted to me. And so I just completely stopped dating. And so that was such an opposite. Felt like I lost all this weight. Now I'm ready. Right. And there's this, when we finally let go of, oh, well, I'm sabotaging myself, or, oh, I'm not worthy. As we work our way up the vibrational scale, I think so many of us have a tendency to get into the next level of that, the higher vibration level of the same thing is, well, I'm not ready yet. What am I doing wrong that I'm not ready yet? And so I found myself falling into that a little bit, like, why, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Why aren't I ready yet? And so just taking a complete break, which is the perfect answer, and focusing on other things, focusing on how much I love, my mountain. I'm sitting here looking at this beautiful view of my mountaintop, and focusing on the pleasures in my life, the good friendships, my families, and just anything but the subject, and continuing to, and of course, Oprah, that's right about the time that I was starting to receive Oprah. And then Oprah, in a couple of sessions, talked a little bit about what was coming in the fall of would have been the fall of 2019. Oprah started talking about what was coming. They didn't actually say there's going to be a pandemic or whatever.
Oh, the pandemic. Okay.
Yeah. So they were talking about a big tumultuous chaos, and in direct answering to the summoning, the worldwide summoning, like the first, like unprecedented, a whole bunch of people all pointed in the same direction, summoning the same thing: more freedom, more quality of life, more time at home with their families, smaller organizations, less bureaucracy, all this stuff. And so we had done a couple of sessions where Oprah had answered a lot of these kinds of questions with these answers. And so I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what. I remember the phrase that I have always just remembered from that session is, changes that you think are going to be in 20 or 30 years are actually 2 to 3 years away. And so there was that sense of, okay, so I think that was the first time I really started getting the sense that it's not that I'm not ready, it's that things are happening,
Mm-hmm.
and go with it. Stop trying to be ready for something that maybe you don't even want, or it's not the right time. It's like all about timing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was when the fears. That's when I started realizing, wow, I had really wanted to lose the weight so that I could have the partner, and just seeing how silly that was, but and just, or even just acknowledging, wow, that was kind of fear based. And even though it didn't feel like fear is probably too strong of a word, but it was like it was limiting belief based, let's say that. And
Because you felt like I couldn't attract someone until I lost weight.
right.
Yeah.
Or looking at the other end of the stick, now that I've lost weight, my perfect partner should be just waltzing right in the door because I've proven my high vibration, right?
Right.
As if you could, as Abraham says, hang a diploma on the wall. You can't do that. You're just constantly, we wouldn't want to. So we're just constantly, expanding. Just everybody's constantly expanding, and the universe is constantly expanding. And so, of course, it's like, just always moving with that fluid nature of the universe and the way things are coming. And so I guess that's the biggest change for me, is to let go of any judgment of myself based on what I'm manifesting at the time, and to relax into, what, everything has a timing to it.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter how long anything takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes for me to accomplish any of the things I'm focusing on right now. When I'm really, really enjoying every single moment, it all comes, and it does not matter how long it takes. So that, to me, I guess, has been the biggest transformation that I've been through in the last couple of years, is just, and of course now I have a new partner who's
Oh.
yeah, I met her about 8 months ago, and we're buying a house together here in Sky Valley, and she's going to come, and we're closing on the house on Thursday. And I'm just so, we've got this most beautiful house. It's got the most gorgeous, I don't want to get too far off on this, but the most gorgeous view, the multi-layered mountain view that you see like in the movies and stuff.
Mm.
And it's all on one level. It's got the garage, it's got the vault, we had a wish list between the two of us, and hers were very different from mine. Interestingly, the view was the same, but like we each had like these other lists, and we found this place, and it's just fell into our laps. And it's just, it's like the synchronicities of it are just beautiful. And so anyway, just it,
Come
I
on,
guess.
let's rampage on that let's celebrate that. Congratulations.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you told me you were closing on a house, but you didn't tell me about, the partner. So congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
awesome. So happy.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's just it's such a wild ride, this life that we're in,
And it's like you let go of that. You just let go of it, of
Yeah.
course. Right?
Yeah. I completely had stopped dating. And she's the first one that I was really even seriously attracted to at all, like in literally almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like so obvious. I feel like breaking into song, some enchanted evening. So it wasn't quite like that, because we met online in a Facebook group. But as soon as we spoke, we started talking immediately on video. We didn't do the whole texting and and all that stuff that so many people do. We just started talking on video, and it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, Brenda. It was just I don't know, it was just perfect. It was just like so obvious.
Yeah.
Like we say all the time to our clients and to ourselves or anything, when it's the right path, it just becomes the next logical step. There's no like strife to it. There's no striving. There's no fear to it, and not to say that there haven't been some, some adjustments or discussions or whatever, but it's so, when it's the right thing, like this house, the house is so incredible. And there are things, like price, that could be a resistance, it could cause some contrast or whatever. And yet it's just so perfect. When you follow your guidance, it's just always perfect, no matter where it goes. And anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at these days.
Oh man, I'm so excited for you. So
Thank
happy.
you.
So happy. And I know people are going to want to hear like about how you did release the weight using, law of attraction. And it is in the book in case people want to read it there, but
Read
I
the book
know
for sure. Not just mine, all of it.
yeah. And 2 years later, we're not the same person. We're from a different perspective, but still, would love for you to share like how that occurred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's all about belief systems.
Hmm.
It's all about belief systems. I met two Abrahamsters right before a cruise. We were all living together, a bunch of strangers, and all get together in a flat in Barcelona, 4 nights before the cruise, and just have a blast. And, I've done that like 3 or 4 times now, and it's so much fun. And so I met this couple, Michael and Marie, and they had just lost a bunch of weight, and they were still actively practicing the keto diet, and which I had never tried before, and I didn't really know much about it actually. And just as they were, Marie tried to actually did steal what was left from my lamb chops. She took the what I saw as gristle and fat. She took it from me at dinner the very first night we met, and I was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And she said, "I'm going to have it for breakfast." And I was like, "What?" And there was a resonance to it. That's I don't know how else to describe it. There was a resonance to everything about that, about the relationship. They've become some of my best friends in the whole world. They're Australians, and there was a resonance to everything they spoke about it. And so I did their version of it, which is, there's a million different versions of keto, and the weight just started just falling off. And so there's a belief system in there. And so it's not about picking this particular diet or eating this particular food or abstaining from this particular food, or, it's really not about that. And I can say that with absolute certainty because I did all of that. I tried all of that for like 30 years.
Hmm.
And none of that works. It's all about the vibration. And so are there tools involved? Sure. My tool at the time was keto. And then later I went off the keto. There was, some inflammation issues. And so the belief systems continue to change. They continue to morph. And as I feel more and more into my body and love my body just exactly the way it is, that's the key, right? That is the absolute,
Hmm.
it's the uniform thing between 25 women that you so geniusly is not a word, but in such genius,
I'll take it.
you interviewed and extracted this story and recorded and honored these 25 stories. And so for me, 24 other stories, and then looking at mine, and then 24 stories, looking at mine. Wow, look at this incredible thread. It's so inspiring, and it's so reassuring, and it's so reinforcing of everything that you and I, teach all day long, and that so many of us practice all day long. And so, right now I'm doing a program that is specifically anti-inflammatory, and it's the big thing I love to talk about is I was looking at my hand about 3 or 4 days into this new program, and I was talking to Becky, my new partner, on the phone at the time. I was on video, and I started looking at my hand, and I got to the point where I couldn't even talk. She's like, "What's wrong? What are you doing?" I'm like, and it was like a movie moment or something. I kept looking at my hand. I was like, "What's wrong? My hand is different. There's something." I couldn't figure it out. And my fingers were no longer swollen. They'd been swollen for 40 years or 35 years. And I kept looking at them, and they didn't look like my hands. I was like, where did these hands come from? It was a really strange moment. It was very surreal.
Yeah.
And I've changed. I wear a lot of rings now. I love to wear rings. It's a kind of a new thing in my life last couple of years. I've changed my rings 3 times now because my fingers get too small for them. And then the one that fits here now will have to fit here because otherwise it falls off. Like this one, I just bought this ring. I bought this ring at Thanksgiving, and today is January 17th. So 2 months ago. And I don't know if you can see there, and it's very easy to come off.
Yeah.
In another nano micro measurement of some sort, I'm going to have to wear that somewhere else, probably here. because it's too
Well, you're
loose. I'm
running out
afraid
of
I'll lose.
digits.
Well, I keep moving things around. It all works, but in fact, it all works very magically. I don't know how it works, but I always have a new finger for a ring. But the only thing I have to do is keep buying new pinky rings, because this one will move up. You know, it can move from left to right and everything. Anyway, I've gotten really good at moving my rings around,
Right.
because when one gets too loose, then I just move it around, and it all works. So, you know, are there a bazillion ways to reduce inflammation? Sure. Can you just sit and meditate and reduce inflammation? Absolutely. We all know that. We can make any change we want in our lives simply by becoming the change. It's easier sometimes to find a tool. Just like, you know, I could probably make a nail go into a piece of wood with my mind if I worked at it long enough. I believe that. I believe I can make I can affect like any physical change of any sort in this physical world with my mind and my feelings and my guidance system. But it would probably take me 10 years to figure out how, you know, to learn how to do it. Or I can just take a hammer and hammer down the nail.
Bending of spoons is a very easy exercise. I mean,
Okay.
I did that, and I bent a spoon, and
can you teach me how to do it? I would love to do that.
I bent a spoon.
Awesome. Well, I've walked on hot coals with Tony Robbins. So
yeah,
but sometimes it's easier to just grab a hammer and put the nail in, right?
right.
So that to me is like when people start talking about what diet are you on, or you know how much water do you drink, or you know all this stuff. Yeah, those are all great tools. But if we're out of alignment with the tool, or if we're out of alignment with the subject, it doesn't matter what the tool is. So I don't know why I got off on that rant about tools, but anyway, so I just use lots of different tools now, but it's always just in complete alignment with, like, I follow my guidance system to it. And then if it resonates, then I'll go there. And if it doesn't, and it doesn't matter to me where the tool comes from or what it's called or how much it costs or who told me I should or shouldn't do it, or none of that matters. What matters is the guidance and the alignment, the resonance with it. So,
yeah. Beautiful.
And I can't wait for you to teach me how to bend a spoon. I'm going to hold you.
I don't know if I could.
I know you can. I have belief. Yeah. I have confidence in you.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I went to a class and at the Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville, and we had a spoon bending thing, and
cool.
And I was holding the spoon and all of this, and I couldn't bend it. And 15 minutes later, I could bend the spoon. And
was somebody talking to you the whole time, like instructing you, or were you just focusing on a particular thing? Or?
He gave us some instructions, but really it was really not much. It was just sitting with the spoon and I guess kind of like visualizing and just knowing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, these were heavy duty spoons, and all of a sudden,
were you holding it the whole time?
Yes.
Cool.
So did I soften it with my energy? How much can I personally soften it? But all of a sudden there was like a window where I could bend the spoon, and I bent it and I twirled it all around, and then that was it. I couldn't do anything else.
So you bent it with your hand?
Yeah, it was all of a sudden it became malleable. Wow. There was a window where it became malleable.
Yes.
And I just was like, oh my gosh. And I just bent it, and then that was it. It was like done. But yeah,
that's very cool.
It is really cool. And so yes, I understand what you're saying. Like when you do something like that, you're like, okay, yeah, I can maybe learn how to do it if I really wanted to. But it is easier. I'll go ahead and grab the hammer.
Well, and think about it. It's easier to love a spoon, because really the only way we can make any change with anything is to become one with it, right? So you became one with the spoon in this window that you're talking about, and you loved it. You loved it into moving it into where you wanted it to be, right? And so when we want to change our bodies, we have to wait for that window. We have to welcome that window and really love our bodies. And then people talk to me all day long, well, how can I love my body? I've got a bum leg, or I'm, so fat, or I'm so, whatever it is that the person is focusing on. And it's just all about love. It's just all about every single thing.
Yes.
It's all about love.
It is, isn't it?
If you've built up a lot of momentum over the years or even decades judging your food choices and your body and find yourself ready to feel better about all of it, meaning you're tired of the dieting merry-go-round and have been for years probably, and want to finally learn how to love your body and your food, private coaching may be for you. Coaching sessions with me, Rhonda, are based on the teachings of Abraham Hicks and the 5 steps in my book. Many people work with me because they want to finally accept their bodies, experience more health and vitality, and discover food freedom. That being said, we often wind up talking about and calibrating many different subjects and emotions because, as we know, everything is connected and intertwined. If you'd like to schedule an initial session or coaching package with me, go to deliciousalignment.com/coaching. Now back to the interview.
How do you kind of join that whole thing together where, okay, law of attraction, I'm using my thoughts and my emotions, and then I'm also going to follow this food plan that I'm inspired to follow, right?
Mhm.
Because right now I'm guided to do this anti-inflammatory food plan, and because I'm careful not to say that there's nothing that's wrong, like, but once in a while I'll say, oh, diet culture is wrong, and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to say that anything is wrong,
Right.
but a lot of us have been through diets and diets and diets and diets. So, like, I don't want to necessarily promote that, but at the same time, I know that people, and you're a perfect example, are guided to a certain way of eating, and you were guided to a certain way of eating with keto, and now you're guided to a different way of eating. You've probably gone through different variations along the way in the last 2 years that, and you're, so you're somebody, probably, if I remember correctly, even you like a little structure with your food. Would that be accurate or not?
Structure.
Or what
I
would you?
wouldn't call myself very structured with my food.
Okay.
I still have a tendency to just sort of follow my body. So let's say I'm trying a new food plan or a new approach, introducing a new whatever concept or philosophy. I'm just constantly listening to my body. And if so, for example, the food plan I'm on right now, it's not really a food plan. It's actually it's kind of a mindset shift. It's a transformation of relationship with food. And so it includes and there is some structure in terms of, eat no more than every 3 hours, eat within an hour of waking up, and then every 3 hours, and they provide they're called fuelings, and they all have very specific relationship proportions. They're just 100 or 105 calories, and they're equally balanced, with protein and fat and carbohydrate. So it's not low anything, it's a balanced thing, but it's also got probiotics, and there's also no preservatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and this is the thing that I've heard Abraham say, and Oprah has also said to clients a couple of times when they've been talking about, what should I eat or whatever, even before, just from the beginning, no preservatives, drink lots of water and avoid the preservatives is about the only rules I've ever heard anybody from the non-physical give us. And so that's all very compatible with my belief system, which is very convenient because it's tough to change a belief system. So that's the easy tool, right? Wow, this matches what I already believe. I'm going to do it. And then I feel how it feels. And then, well, I'm kind of hungry. Well, they say to only eat, this amount of stuff. Well, I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to eat more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat an extra fueling, or in other words, I'll stay within the overall plan. But if my body's hungry, I'm not going to go around hungry and feel bad. No way. So I eat more, and then I still lose weight. So it's, or my hands, even better. My hands are losing inflammation.
Yeah.
Now, just day before yesterday, I went and got this thing called, oh, what's it called? I'm not going to be able to remember what it's called. It's a new kind of a therapy. It uses ultrasound technology, the same technology that you use with ultrasound, but ramped up in this certain way, and using it on my right thumb and my right hand, which has a lot of inflammation, like from like 40 years ago, from car accidents and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this belief system, like I just said, I have this inflammation. That's a belief system. Now, I could just work really consistently every single day and convince myself that I don't have any inflammation in this hand while it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do it. I can do it. I know I can,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of work. You know, it's there are other things I want to focus on. I'll have more fun doing something different.
Yeah, it's not the path of least resistance.
It's not the path of saying thank you. That's a great way of saying it. It's
Yeah,
not the path
Abraham
of
tells
least
us it's supposed to
resistance.
be easy, it's supposed to be fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I met this woman at a tree lighting ceremony right before Christmas, and she tells me about this new machine that they've got right nearby. You know, there's almost nothing right nearby. I'm on the top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, and yet they've got this new clinic. These 3 women chiropractors have opened up this new clinic, and they're only there 2 days a week, and they've got this new machine, and it hurts a lot when they treat you, but it resolves all this inflammation theoretically, right? So I've only had one treatment. So I go in, and this was the day before yesterday, and indeed it hurt like a son of a gun, and that's okay. And it felt so much better. I've been painting because I'm painting my current place because I'm going to put it on the Airbnb market because I'm moving into my new place. And so I had been having trouble actually holding the paintbrush because it was hurting so much. Now I've been painting. In fact, I was looking to make sure before we started, make sure I got all the paint off my hands because I've been painting for the last 3 days or 2 days, I guess, since I had this treatment. And so now my belief system is like, well, I have empirical evidence that this thing works. So now I believe this treatment works. So now that's my tool of choice.
Right.
And until it's not. I don't know. I mean, is that forever or is that for a week or whatever? Right now, that's my tool of choice, my path of least resistance, because I believe it works.
Yeah.
If I didn't believe it worked, it wouldn't matter what it was.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't matter if it was, it just wouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
But
so,
because I do believe it works, it's working. And so
yes,
I don't have pain.
Yes. So will you be able to, you know, when you have a moment, look for maybe the name of that treatment? Because I know people are probably going to go, what is that? I want to know more. Or what is the food plan that she's on? I want to know more. So would you be able to get those to me like
Absolutely.
in a couple of days? Okay,
to.
so
Yeah.
everybody listening, I will get that information for you, and it'll be in the show notes. So I wanted to go back to something that you said about, you know, only like the one thing that Abraham says, maybe the one guideline is that, you know, don't eat preservatives, for instance. But my mind went to a place of, but they also say there's no good or bad food.
Right.
So how do we reconcile that?
Well, they say there's no good or bad food. And you know, I remember this one hot seater clip that has just always stuck in my mind. Somebody said, okay, tell me the truth. Like, let's get to the bottom line here. How damaging is it to our bodies for us to do drugs or drink alcohol or smoke or eat donuts or whatever it is? Tell us. And they said, well, okay, on a scale from 1 to 100, with 1 being the best thing in the whole world for you, the most healthful thing in the whole world, and 100 being toxic, you know, dying, you know, so smoking, doing drugs, you know, all that stuff, let's call that a 5.
Yes.
Actively feeling guilt, anger, shame, 98. Toxic. Okay. Stop worrying about the friggin' food, because it's not the physical action that you're doing. It's your day-to-day, moment-to-moment thoughts and the feelings that come with them, the belief systems and the feelings that you're generating that are causing the degradation of your body. You know, oh, I'm old. No, you're not old. You're toxic. You know, you've got all these toxic thoughts. Stop it. And so, you know, I can't remember the question now. Sorry, I got off on that.
No, that is so good. I remember that quote as well, because somebody I love smokes cigarettes, and I found myself wanting to say something like, you know, or I find a way to say something once in a while, like, maybe you should think, maybe it's be good to wean off of that a little bit. And then when I saw that quote, I stopped.
Right.
I
Well,
totally
and Oprah even tells people, when we're talking about what kind of food to eat, if you walk by a donut and you say, "Oh, donuts, God, those are awful for you. I'm so glad I don't eat donuts." You might as well have eaten the donut, because you've just introduced that vibration of toxic thought about that, because it's your belief system. It's what everybody around you believes. And so you might as well just go ahead and eat it, because you've already paid the price, price for it. I'm doing quotations.
true. I'm going to eat that donut anyway then.
Yeah, exactly. So the best thing we can do is clean up our vibration about food in general, and about how, all of the judgments that we make in our society about food. If you're overweight and anybody sees you eating anything other than a celery stalk, you're just, out of control, or whatever that judgment would be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so as we change our thought patterns, and as we change our emotional relationship with our bodies and with food and with our belief systems, and that may sound like a lot, to somebody who's never done it before, but it's really not that hard. I know your students are finding that you've got systems and you've got approaches, and it's a matter of practicing a little bit. It's a matter of making a commitment to a new way of thinking, and it starts to snowball, and it starts to snowball and snowball and snowball, and then it turns into this healthy relationship with both our bodies and with food. And that's where this saying comes from: there's no good or bad foods. There's only good or bad or negative, or toxic or non-toxic, or wanted or unwanted thoughts and feelings about the food and about our bodies. So if I'm really hungry and the only thing available to eat is a donut, and I'm castigating myself for wanting the donut, then I've done more damage to myself than 100 donuts that I could have just eaten, just to, if nothing else, just so I'd feel better. You could argue, well, a donut doesn't have much nutrition to it, but it is some calories, and it would make me feel better, which is really the bottom line, right? I want to feel better.
Yeah.
And now, will I feel better compared to eating a good solid meal of some sort, something that has nutrition? No, I won't feel as good, because a donut will be, empty. So, I mean, in that way, there's some judgment or some discernment, which I can only get by trying the donut and then seeing how my body responds. If my body's like, woohoo, then all's golden. For me, a donut doesn't make my body feel good, or at least that's what my belief system is right now.
That's your belief system.
Yeah. But I'm also very careful, like you were just saying, to not sit around and judge donuts, or anybody eats donuts, or anybody who sells donuts, or, anything about donuts. So, because donuts have their place, whatever their place is for all of us, just like a story. Every story has its place. Every emotion has its place. Like Abraham's fond of saying, we will gladly incite you to anger if it gets you up out of depression or grief, or, because anger's higher on the emotional scale. Just don't stay there.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with doing drugs. If doing drugs is the only thing you can think of right now to help you feel better, do the drugs, but then don't stay there. Keep going. Keep raising your vibration. Look for the next better feeling thought, and the next better feeling thought, and the next better feeling thought. And when you kind of leapfrog that up, you can get out of anything, absolutely anything, up into nirvana.
Yeah.
It's just one little step at a time.
Yeah. I love all of that. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing to talk to you. And I love this conversation about beliefs, because that's what we talk about a lot, and in Delicious Alignment, and the beliefs are really where it's at. I mean, I work with people who have beliefs that they can change their body just through their thought and vibration alone. And then you have, people are all over the place, and that's good, because that's their own inner guidance that they're receiving, and that's what they need to follow, is their own. And it's the judgment. I just love how, your trajectory, where you've gotten just like away from the judgment, and it's just like, no, these are my beliefs, and I'm good with that, and I believe this right now, so I'm going to go with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And whenever I hear words coming out of my mouth, or thoughts coming out of my monkey mind that don't serve me well, that to me is the really most important part for me right now, and at this place in my life, is to make sure that I'm not sitting in judgment over that. When I find myself sitting in judgment over that thought or that word, to just take it as a clue of where I am right now, with no judgment against myself for having had that thought or that feeling, because I'm on the physical plane. We're here on the physical plane, and it's beautiful to be here, and it's wonderful, and it's challenging. And you can't possibly have a challenge unless there's a chance of not making the point, or not making it around the corner, or whatever it is that, like if you're thinking of a game like a race or a basketball game or something, the challenge is the opportunity to not succeed every single time. Otherwise, it's not a challenge and it's no fun. So
Right.
I just love that about our existence here. And to me, my body is one of the primary indicators. It's a leading indicator, or it's a lagging indicator. I can't remember from my economics class, but it's an indicator of where my mind and my emotional system is right now. And if I'm gaining weight, or if I'm not sleeping well, or if I'm finding myself looking in the mirror and not liking what I see, blemishes, or, whatever it is, that's just an indicator. It's just an indicator. It's all it is. There's no judgment about it whatsoever. And I love that. It's just like looking at the gas gauge and saying, oh, I need some gas. There's nothing wrong with me that I need gas. I'm just going to stop at the gas station and fill up. It's just an indicator. It's just, time to get back to basics, time to fill up, time to align, time to find positive things to resonate with and bring positivity into my life. And it's just magic. It really is like filling up the gas tank.
It really is. Yeah. So I asked you this 2 years ago. So I'll ask you like now again, 2 years later. And what would you recommend to people? And I would say to give up to learn how to soothe that judgment, because a lot of the people that I work with, it's soothing that judgment, learning new habits of thought, all of that, and getting to the place where you're not judging yourself, like you just said, like you're not judging yourself anymore.
The best way that I know to soothe that is to feel Source's love. Do whatever it takes to feel the love of Source. It's one of the reasons why I still, so many coaches start saying, well, I don't really want to work with private clients anymore. I want to start getting into groups, or I want to automate, or whatever. And I still really love receiving Oprah for people one-on-one, because it's so much easier for us humans to look into the eyes of another human and speak words back and forth and feel that love of Source. So when I can receive and just kind of get out of the way and be as a conduit kind of for the love of Source to just flood, to just bathe somebody with that love, then they know what that feels like. And that might be, so for many of my clients, it's the first time they've ever felt that. Well, at least since they were little kids. It's the first time they can remember feeling unconditional love. And that's a game changer. And it continues to be a game changer at every single level that we can reach. The higher and higher vibration, if you're slipping at all, it's because the highest vibration is the love of Source. So if you're slipping at all, or if you're not finding that, it's because you're not receiving that specific thing, the love of Source, unconditional love. Yeah. So I would say, if you're looking for any kind of soothing, do whatever it takes to feel the love of Source. Don't try to create your own love. Don't look for it in another person. Find a way to feel, to experience, to directly receive in a way that you can tangibly, kinesthetically feel, the love of Source. And that's the answer.
Oh, that is so beautiful, Ramona. It really, really is. And just like, any way that you can. I mean, meditation.
Yep. Get out into nature. Long hot baths.
Go book a session with Oprah.
Book a session with Oprah. That's definitely a good way to do it.
Book a session with Rhonda.
Book a session with Rhonda. Join Delicious Alignment and get a lot of mutual support. There's a lot of unconditional love in the group.
Yes.
That you have. I mean, you're providing the love of Source through that group. It's beautiful.
Gosh.
Very healing.
Wow. Yeah, that is so really moving. Cause it is. Sometimes you work with people and it's like, wow, they're feeling love right now, and
Yes.
maybe they haven't felt it in a while,
Yeah,
or maybe the first time they've had unconditional love, like you said.
absolutely.
I mean, as
Absolutely.
coaches, that's kind of the thing you come across sometimes. And then you can be that for them, and then eventually they can tap into that themselves,
Yes.
you
But
know?
it's really important that you know what you're looking for. You
Mm-hmm.
don't go looking for a new method or advice
Mm-hmm.
or, a system or, so often that's what we're encouraged to look for: a new diet if we're trying to lose weight,
Yeah.
a new religion. It's that feeling.
Yes.
It's the feeling. And once you've felt it, then you know what it feels like. It's easier to find it again. And it's easier and easier and easier and easier the more you feel it.
And so what I'm hearing you say is we can be that for each other. Like in a session with Oprah, someone can experience that for the first time.
Absolutely.
A session with another coach, you can actually experience that for the first time, or maybe you haven't experienced it in a long time. And then the secret is to eventually learn how to tap into that yourself
Yes.
when you're sitting in traffic, or you're being possibly triggered by something, and how to tap into that on your
Yes.
own.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people that I work with say, well, I've tried to meditate and I can't, or I used to and I've lost it, or I don't understand it. And it makes, and I never used to be able to, I used to try to meditate all the time. And before Abraham, and it was feeling that direct love of source that first time that kind of switched everything for me to be able to start meditating. And then that's, I can feel, not every single time, or well, I can now, but there was for a long time there where everything, it had to be quiet and I had to, have, certain things in place, and then I could feel it. But the more I practiced it, and of course, now that I'm receiving Oprah, it's all of that has changed. It's just like receiving Oprah is kind of like this deepest meditation in the world, and I feel the love of source
Mm,
just at the drop of a hat. But
yeah.
it's taken a lot of practice to get to that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is, if you can, when you can employ it or deploy it, I should probably say, like you were saying, like if you're stuck in traffic or, some circumstance, or even just your monkey mind has
Right.
got you a little bit out of alignment and you want to get back into alignment quickly. That's it, man. That's it. The love of source just takes you just like that, just directly into alignment, just instantaneously, practically.
Yes.
So it's
Yes. And then
powerful.
you feel it. You feel it towards other people,
Yes.
and you may not like everybody, but you start to love everybody.
Yes. And that's been, I with as many personal benefits as I've received, I have so much abundance, I have so much freedom and ease and joy and happiness and specific things that I was looking for. To me, that's the best thing. That that sense of connection with myself, that's the thing
Hmm.
that is really the bottom line.
Yeah.
And once I have that, then just like you said, being able to love anyone for exactly who and what they are, anyone or anything.
Hmm.
I mean, weather, or a traffic jam, to actually genuinely love it,
Yeah.
even while not appreciating, well, I thought I was going to this appointment, I guess I'm not going to get there, so, but understanding, like, even in that circumstance, well, I guess I wasn't meant to be there then, because I'm not there. And so that love of the perfection of the immediate moment
Yes.
shows itself in the love of everyone.
Yeah.
And that's to me is the greatest blessing of all of this,
Yeah.
because I used to be afraid of people. I was afraid of everyone
Really.
when I was younger. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I don't know that I would have said it that way. I would have
Hmm.
said I don't like most people.
Hmm.
But what it was is I was afraid. I was afraid of intimacy. I was afraid of vulnerability. I was afraid of what people could and would do to me. I was very mired in the physical,
Hmm. Hmm.
money and physical safety and things like that. And
Look at
none
you
of
now.
those. What's that?
Look at you now.
Look at me now. Well, I mean, I'm always emerging and
Of
expanding, just
course.
like we
Of
all are.
course.
But yeah, I mean, I just love being able to love people. I just love love. I'm in love with love.
Yeah. Well, look, and I just want to say thank you so much, Ramona, for meeting with me. Love to have you back to talk about Oprah,
Absolutely.
and or maybe Oprah would want to meet with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
That
do
would
it.
be amazing. Yeah, how great.
That can be easily arranged.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a really enjoyable discussion, and I
Yeah.
just have so much admiration and respect for everything that you are accomplishing with your. Because I hear some of the back stuff too. Oh, this happened and that happened, and not that anybody's speaking out of turn or anything, but I know that a lot of people are getting a lot of benefit from your program and from your work with them, and I just have utmost respect for everything that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for all that too. And so, how can people find you? Find what's your website? What do you want? How all the things? Tell let
So
us know.
RamonaGaley.com. My last name is Galey, RamonaGaley.com. So that's kind of the main hub. It's a simple website. You can book a session with Oprah there. I don't have I've got some new stuff going on that hasn't quite formulated yet, so I don't really have much going on else. But I would say just get on the mailing list.
Hmm.
There's probably every page has a way to just get on the mailing list, and I'll be announcing some things probably in a couple of months. I'm very I'm very focused on buying my new house and
Yeah.
settling in with my new love. She lives in Omaha, Nebraska right now, so I
Oh,
really can't wait until she's going to be moving here. And so I'm very focused on that right now,
yes.
just frankly. But I love my Oprah clients. I love receiving Oprah on behalf of people, and that's where my professional focus is right now. And I would love to meet some of your listeners if they're up for something like that.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I think that would be so exciting to have Oprah on, and to talk about self love, body love, and food freedom. And also, like I said, I've seen many of, well, not many, a few of your sessions with people in my small group, and it's just wonderful. I just sit and listen, and I get so many insights. So
No,
definitely
thank you.
recommend Oprah session and all of that. Wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, Ramona.
Thank you, Rhonda. Talk soon.
Okay.
Wow, Ramona has such an infectious energy. She's so joyful and generous with her insights. I always appreciate any opportunity I get to connect with her. Plus, there were so many wonderful reminders in this interview about what to do when you're attracting something you don't want. And that last bit about how connecting with the love of Source takes you almost instantaneously into alignment. So, so good. Here are the takeaways from this interview. 1. Attracting more health and fitness into your life from a spiritual point of view is not about picking this particular diet, eating that particular food, or abstaining from certain foods. It's about following your inner guidance regarding food and everything else, working with your beliefs, and learning how to love your body in the now. If that guidance takes you to a certain way of eating, go for it. 2. We can make any changes we want in our lives by becoming the change. However, sometimes it's easier to find a tool. Certain ways of eating or certain diets can be tools, but when you're out of alignment with the tool, or if you're out of alignment with the subject, it doesn't matter what the tool is. It doesn't matter where the tool comes from, what it's called, how much it costs, or who recommended it. What matters is your guidance, alignment, and resonance with that tool. 3. What do you do when you lose weight in order to attract your perfect partner and your perfect partner doesn't appear? You realize that things happen in divine timing. The how and the when are not your business. Your business is to practice alignment. How long it takes you to attract the thing you're focusing on right now becomes less important when you're enjoying every single moment of the journey. Synchronicities are even more amazing when you let go of resistance, how it's supposed to be or when it's supposed to happen. 4. When you notice you're judging yourself, getting caught up in your monkey mind, or having negative thoughts, do whatever it takes to feel the love of Source. Find a way to go within and feel this love by connecting to Source. The love of Source takes you directly into alignment almost instantaneously. 5. When you find yourself attracting something you don't want, keep turning your attention to what you do want. When you focus on the things that make you happy, the next logical step eventually becomes apparent to you. I'd love to know which one of these takeaways is your favorite. Let me know in the Delicious Alignment Facebook group, on YouTube, or Instagram. I would also love to see you guys share about this episode today with anyone you think could benefit from it. Share about it on your Instagram, post about it on your Facebook or in Abraham Facebook groups, or text the link and share it with a friend. One of the links you could share is deliciousalignment.com/podcast. I appreciate you spreading this message of body love and food freedom, because there are so many people who are ready for this message. And thank you so much for listening. It means the world to me. We've got some wonderful new episodes and guests coming up. So please subscribe on Apple Podcast or follow us on Spotify. If you do share this podcast episode on Instagram, go ahead and tag me at Delicious Alignment, because I would love to see it and connect with you. Ramona's website, RamonaGaley.com, is listed in the show notes on deliciousalignment.com/podcast, along with all the other things that were mentioned in this episode. I'm hoping to have Oprah on the show in the near future, so stay tuned. If you'd like to connect with Ramona or book a session with Oprah, you can do so at RamonaGaley.com. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate you so much.